Mike's apartment over on Belmont, right off of Lakeshore Drive, right? They had a big, beautiful apartment over there in a six-flat type building. So I said, okay. I said, but we're gonna need big speakers. So they took me to Grand Stage Lighting, and we rented these big Voice of the Theater speakers, rented a truck, because I told them this is how I know how to do it.
Right.
You know, we decorated the apartment with balloons. We made a nice...
Like David did at the loft.
Yeah, we made a nice big badge, a punch. So, party, they invited all their friends, a lot of frats and stuff. And the party began. The party lasted 30 minutes and the Chicago police said, no. The building is rattling. The hallway light is flickering.
Right.
No.
Just taking all the energy out the building.
Yes, they were like,
speakers.
what do you need these type of speakers for in this apartment? Do not turn them on again or we're taking everybody to jail. 116 South Clinton, then, it was right next to the Flourishing Shoe Company, okay? But then right after our party that Saturday night, that Sunday, the building burnt down and fell onto the Flourishing Shoe Company. But all our equipment burned up in there because we left it. We were too tired to take anything, I started up 206 with Benny.
Benny Winfield, Greg Winfield's older brother.
Okay.
There's this big hotel registry. He goes through there, finds out who the people are, blah, 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 blah. Either you had to know somebody, and if you were not arriving with that member, you had to be called in, because it was a membership club.
So when we went in, they had fellas all over the place. They was moldy looking. The windows were like these. So they were lost in the space, my friends, this is gonna be too much. I said, no, just get those vacuum cleaners and we'll suck up all the feathers and paint everything black.
Then you walked through this doorway and there was just like this huge room and there were balloons and parachutes hanging and then over in the corner there was a bar.
I said, we're gonna need sound system for this place. So I said, I gotta go to New York. So me and Ziggy and Ben, we flew back to New York and I went to my old friend, Richard Long. I said, Richard, look, I got a problem. I'm in Chicago, we got a club, but we ain't got no sound system. Would you please help? He came out, he flew out here and saw the room. He brought a crew, measured it out and everything, and then flew back to New York and designed the speakers and stuff.
The very first night I went, I think Craig Cannon was playing records. And the music was really, really, really clear. I remember the sound system being very, very clear. And so all through that night, you would see people and there were different people from all different sorts of walks of life. They were very, very artsy.
Okay.
You could tell that they were very artsy. And then there were people that you kind of knew. And you made friends along the way because, yes, people were kind of standoffish in one sense, but not really, because it came to be like a collective, which made it kind of like family in a sense.
I get a call from Frankie one Friday night, and he said, oh, I forgot to tell you, Richard's in town, and he's coming down. I'm like, what? Now, mind you, I followed Richard Long throughout my career, because he had designed some of the best sound systems in the world, and he was like a mentor to me. I was like, I wanted that sound. And when he walked through the door, he looked like a crazy Einstein because he had real long hair. And it was the first time I had seen him. And I was just ecstatic that this man was in my room. And after going over the whole system, he said, the only thing he told me was I would switch that mid-amp out to run those lows and back and forth. Other than that, your sound system is unbelievable. And he actually offered me a job.
When I got down to the power plant and when Frankie put on Your Love and he said, now just watch, that kind of like christened me into knowing that music was what I was supposed to do.
The formula, to me, you know, we feel like I wasn't a rich person, I wasn't a wealthy person in terms of being a club owner or even opening the club. It wasn't about the money. We knew a lot of people with lots more money than me, you know? They could have opened a fabulous club,
Right.
but they didn't have the formula to do so. The DJ first, his mindset, okay? And I had the same mindset as DJs in New York, okay? You know, DJs in New York, they were like, you didn't ask them to play anything for you. That was unheard of.
Right.
Asking a DJ, could you play? No.
Right.
The Music Box was just a corporation on paper. It didn't have a physical home.
Right.
Okay. I just had paper, okay?
Right.
So when Frankie left, well, everybody followed Frankie when he opened up his new club, the Power Plant, okay? So, you know, I didn't have a DJ. My other partner from New York, Ron Braswell, said, I'd like to introduce you to a DJ. I think he's pretty good. We should use him. Forget Frankie. And I was like, who is this? So he said his name is Ron Hardy. Well, Ron was playing at the Ritz at this time, downtown. At that time, Frankie had met him too, so Frankie wanted him to play at the Power Plant with him. I told Ron Hardy, I said, well, you can play with Frankie if you want to, but you're gonna be second fiddle the entirety of your time there. I'm offering you a new club.
That volume, man, forget the Hot Mix 5, forget, this is it right here. This is the vibe. This is what I've been searching for. This is the Mecca, you know? And I mean, I never heard music played at that level, at that volume before, you know, and Rod was like, bringing the bass in and out, boom, 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 boom. And you know, it was so loud that it was like moving me physically. I mean, I'm not talking about spiritually, I'm talking about, that shit was loud. This was louder than any rock concert I had ever been to.
Paul Weisberg, who was the owner of Imports Records. He would catch me DJing in the place, and I would kind of be scratching and doing whatever I was doing, just kind of practicing when it was slow. So he had a friend that would come in. He had a few friends that would come in and hang out and listen to music. One was Frankie Knuckles. The other one was Joe Shanahan that I would see who would come in. Joe gave me a break. It was kind of funny. I actually made a demo. And then we set up an appointment. I went to Metro, hung out with him in the office. We listened to the demo. We kind of, you know, oh, I like what you did there. Oh, I like that record. It was kind of, I mean, it doesn't happen like that anymore. And Joe gave me my start at Smart Bar, my first residency at a 21 and over bar. That was the big difference. There were just the parties that were mainly college and high school. But to 21 and over bars, that was kind of like the next level you graduated to.
Ain't No Jive Chicago Dance Party with Chicago Scratch King himself, Farley Funkin' Keith, on 102.7 FM, WBMX, Oak Park, Chicago.
I was not in Chicago. We were living in LA at the time, and I was in a game room, and this guy, he had 2 turntables set up in there, and he played, all I remember him doing was he played Genius of Love by Tom Tom Club for about 19 minutes. There wasn't nothing special about that to me. I just saw it, whatever. And then I think maybe a month or 2 later, we came back home to Chicago, summer of 1982, and I was at a buddy's house, and he was playing the Hot Mix 5. He was, he had taped a show, and I was listening. I was like, you know what? That's what that guy in LA was trying to do. I want to learn how to do that. And I think maybe it took the Hot Mix 5 to introduce me to the concept of the music never stopping and mixing, and even with the tricks that are now associated with turntablism. That was what I learned from the Hot Mix 5. However, Frankie Knuckles and Ron Hardy, what I got from them was the concept of great music as the thing to do. There's no need to use turntable dexterity, making tricks and scratching. If you play the best music, that in and of itself is good enough, and that's what I stuck with from that point on.
Now, we had a big space, another big space, and nobody to play. So I said, well, forget this. I didn't know any Chicago DJs, So I said, I'm going back home. So I asked Larry LeBand. So I asked T. Scott. So then I thought about Frankie. He wasn't really keen at first either, so he said, I'll come out and look. And he was impressed a little that when I told him Richard Long had came in and designed the system. He said, okay, I'll play for you on Saturday. So we sent out invitations to everybody. A nice group of people came, but they were reading, we don't want to hear that bullshit from New York. What he think he is? Coming here trying to sell us this, that New York stuff. No. So following, they didn't come at all. So Frankie was like, well, I'm going back to New York because this doesn't seem like it's going to work out. Manny Winfield's friend Mike was so enthused over a New York DJ being in town, he begged him and pleaded with Frankie to please come and play at the Bowery. So Frankie went over there and really cut up. Those people were like, my goodness. He made the DJ who was there become his light man while he was playing. See, there was another component too, okay? A manual component. After that, then people said, where's that guy gonna be playing that again? He launched, actually, a career in Chicago that he may not have ever been able to launch in New York. See, the warehouse here opened before Paradise Garage.
One of the things that Frankie taught me, even with my mixing, is you're creating music. So your blend, when you're blending a song, should actually create a whole nother song. It's like a transition, but it shouldn't be a harsh transition. So basically, everything is still done in musical time. A lot of people don't realize when you hear a DJ that kind of like is really a layperson who hears someone mixing and they really don't understand why they don't like everything that they're mixed, because they're out of musical time. They're doing their mixes. They don't treat it as if, we would mix all the way down to 8-bar, 16-bar phrases and hold that holler as it goes out, rolling out, and then you volume down. That was the purpose of using the Bozaks and the Rains and things like that, because you had more control of the volume of each individual record.
Music Box was just a corporation on paper. It didn't have a physical home.
Right.
Okay. I just had paper. Okay. So when Frankie left, everybody followed Frankie when he opened up his new club, the Power Plant. Okay. So, you know, I didn't have a DJ. My other partner from New York, Ron Braswell, said, I'd like to introduce you to a DJ. I think he's pretty good. We should use him. Forget Frankie. And I was like, who is this? So he said, his name is Brian Hardy. Well, Ron was playing at the Ritz at this time, downtown. At that time, Frankie had met him too, so Frankie wanted him to play at the Power Plant with him. I told Ron Hardy, I said, well, you can play with Frankie if you want to, but you're gonna be second fiddle the entirety of your time there. I'm offering you a new club.
You're listening to Mickey Mitch Oliver on station WBMX. Now, I tell you, he's the guy to know. I mean, he's in charge of wife swapping.
Lee Michaels was the program director of WBMX. And Lee had this vision that he wanted to find the 5 most talented DJs, well, actually, the 6 most talented DJs that he could find that would have our areas and people of Chicago to compensate for the whole market. At that time, BMX was the worst music station. The general manager who hired Lee was Kearney Anderson, and Kearney actually got Larry King his first radio gig. Oh, wow. So Kearney kind of knew what he was doing, obviously. And so that's why he brought Lee in. He goes, you're a forward thinker. So these auditions went on for 6 months, and he went to the warehouse. He went everywhere. I know Frankie tried, and Ron Hardy did try it out. Everybody tried out. But at the end of the day, Lee decided, okay, these 6 guys I'm gonna run with. So it was me, Farley Jackmaster, Kenny Jason, Ralphie Rosario, Scott Sills, and Jeff Davis. But Jeff had a different vision. He wanted to be the Hot Mix 1. So Jeff didn't show up. So it became, we waited, and it says, all right, it's gonna be the Hot Mix 5 now.
I think I was maybe listening to the Hot Mix 5 on the radio one day, and I just listened to how they were doing blends, and I just knew, I was like, I could do that.
No, I did a bootleg called Hunks and Chunks, and I sold 1,000 of them in a couple weeks. And everybody wanted to know, how did you go from 122 beats a minute to 160 beats a minute, Celebration, Kool and the Gang to Whip It, Devo. And so I took Armando and I showed him, I go, I got 2 reel-to-reels. And I says, don't ask me how I figured this out. I think my mom dropped me on my head when I was a kid. But I had it down on a ruler how much of tape a 16th of a note was at 122 beats per minute and how much it was at 130 beats per minute. I was like a scientist on it. So I had the second reel, and when I did this thing, I get people ask me this all the time. How did you ever do that on Facebook? But I took Celebration and I recorded Come On. And so then you have kick, snare, kick. So I took the snare and cut out a little piece of tape and moved a little closer. And the kick a little closer. So all of a sudden, it's playing faster, but it's not. The song was actually recorded 122, but it just happens to be I shortened it, so it's really at 124. Then I shortened it to 126 or 8. And then I got it up to like come on, come on, come on, come on. And I got it up to like the 150s by shortened it. So to your ear, if they wouldn't sound like chipmunks, sounded because it was recorded 122. Exactly. Then I mixed it into a tape loop of going, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. So I had another reel-to-reel, and I had a weight on it, so the tape was just going in a circle. And I mixed Whip It Devo over it, and all of a sudden you're going, wait a minute, that's 150 beats per minute all of a sudden. And I think that was the mind blower that back then, and that was no computers, no help, no nothing, just a razor blade and splicing tape.
So my first idea, I made a mix out of a cardboard box, and I had like 2 little faders. But what I was doing was hooking up a speaker to one fader and another speaker to another fader, and I was fading in sound from speaker to speaker, not actually mixing. But that was my first things of DJing, just fading songs in and out. And then when I heard that they was using 2 turntables, maybe in one of those movies like Beat Street or something like that, I had my parents like the little amp with the turntable on top. And I think we had another one like that. And I would slow down the turntables with paper, but just use that little paper mixer I had, and I was trying to figure it out. And that was probably my first experience with saying, oh man, I think I can do this. And then trying to figure out how to get a real turntable. And when I saw they had turntables with pitch, I was like, wow, this is it. If I had a turntable with pitch, I can really do this.